Aha. Are you ready? Tell the electronic gadgets works? It doesn't work. It works, yes? Hello? Eh? Okay. Okay. Last one. This is we say is Mandala of the essential nature energy expression and compassion activity. We say take refuge until I reach the heart of the enlightenment. And then is maybe also we can a little bit talking about the Sungata of the inside the three roots. There's Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, these three jewels. And actually, like Buddha is like kind of the really, our like particularly object of the for the taking refuge. And this one is like a very we say is the most unfailing refuge. Is a Buddha, extraordinary teacher, and also reached the culmination of the riddance and realizations, and culmination, top of peak, and the end, like kind of the absolutely manifested the intrinsic nature, unification of the channel, energy bindu. This sort of the being, it's we call the Buddha, and it has such a quality from the combination of the riddance, from the combination of the realizations, and through that, and also, and such a kind of the benefit, according the realizations, such a benefit on self, realize the essential nature, and then it's like there's according the combination of the riddance and the nature expressions, and also compassion activities, and like permanently, spontaneous, presently, naturally benefit for the sentient beings. Like this is we call the perfect Buddhahood, perfect Arhat, and that is this person or Buddha. It is really the mind is the extraordinary achievement, and like this, and then it's like compare in the Shavaka and Pachika Buddha's perspective. They realize that some is a kind of non-self of the individual and destroying the gross belief to the self of the phenomena. And of course, and also it's like not really completely, but kind of the gross, rough belief of the self of the phenomena. Of course, non-self individual realize that, and but it's not really realized the non-self of phenomena. And also, they're like kind of the cognitive obscurations. This is we call the, and also habitual tendencies. Is certainly they not yet. Therefore, even those are become the arhat, but not perfect. And Buddha, called the Buddha, but not perfect. And then it's like meaning of the Buddha, combination, enrichment of through the randoms and realizations relate to the Bodhisattvas. And they like kind of coming across the 5 paths and 10 bhumi, and across the path of the accumulation, path of the junction, the path of the seeings, and they achieve the first bhumi, first level. They realize it, the truth of the intrinsic reality. And at that moment, they like kind of the get rid of obscuration of the impurity of the cognitions. And also, they like kind of the chief go beyond the generosities. And also it's like in the post meditations purified all the stinginess, obscuration, and also it's like received the qualities of the first bhumis. And then it's like subsequently starting from this level, and then second level, go the like kind of progressively stage from the level to the next, getting rid of the obscuration and achieving realization, particularly each of level of the bhumis. Then it's like to achieve more and more, and the first levels, they get rid of the more obscuration of cognitive or the defilement. But of course, to make the more kind of how do you say, it's like reduce the like conceptual obscuration or cognitive obscurations. And by the time they reach the 7th level, they have got rid of all the remain the emotional obscuration, or emotional obscuration is completely purified. Afterward, there is, we call the 3 pure levels. This is like kind of the 8, 9, 10th bhumis. they get rid all the gross and subtle conceptual obscuration, both obscuration or cognitive, of course, defilement, and the final stage of the 10th levels, there's we call the Vajrayana wisdom, that is the antidote to the subtle habitual tendencies and like kind of the obscuration of the absorptions. They completely destroyed they realized the different wisdoms. And in that moment, there's nothing more to be rid of, or like kind of the end of the riddance. There's no further realizations, the end of the realizations. Completely all the perfect again realizations. And so they have reached the combination of the ridden and realizations. Then that we call the define the perfect Buddhahood. And this is like kind of the essence of the Buddha. And itself, you can to divide it. This is like kind of the Buddha's body, Buddha's wisdom, Buddha's like kind of the activities. And Buddha itself, of course, in the Uttara Tantra says, according the combination of the riddance, there is the three qualities. And according the combination of the realizations perspective, there's three qualities. Each groups you can to add it, there's 8 qualities. And also it's like a complete accomplishment of the 2 goals, self, others. And this sort of the enlightenment, the body itself we call the kayas. And that is like kind of the, you not anymore kind of the called the compounded body or aggregation body. It's like pure body or intrinsic nature's the body. And of course, there are the like kind of the, we say is and it's like kind of the 4 kayas and 5 wisdoms. And this is the most kind of the important. Of course, there is a little bit kind of unification kaya. And sometime in the Sanskrit, it's called the Savavihikaya. It's the union of the space in the wisdom. And it is like kind of the, in the Sutta perspective, and it's like a unification of the emptiness in the luminosities or the appearances. And also it's like the emptiness endowed with the essence of the wisdom. Very important to say. And sometimes the emptiness endowed with the compassion, or the essence of the compassion, which is the emptiness. in the specific great perfections tradition, that is we call the union of the space and the wisdom, or the space is the natural expression of the space, luminosity aspect of the wisdom. This is like kind of Svavikaya. And then it's like we're talking about the Dharmakaya, wisdom of the radiant natural expressions. This Svavikaya, it is the essential nature. This essential nature is not empty of the five aggregations, not nothingness, not nihilistic way. It is the union of the space and the wisdom. That means it's like kind of the endowed with the kind of the luminosity, essence of the wisdoms. That is what we call the radiant natural expression. And that perspective you call the Dharmakaya. From the Dharmakaya and more kind of the realizations, leaving the whoever, maybe it is like the levers or the bhumis, those maybe can to perceive the teacher and really to see the natural, sensual nature's form of the Dharmakaya. Svavikaya is difficult to say the sensual nature, this is Kaya, but of course this is like kind of the embodiment of the another Kayas. Therefore we say the sensual nature. Sensual nature is the unification of the natural, like what we say is like a channel, energy and essence. And here is like also Svavikaya is a unification of the Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, Namanikayas. And the Sambhogakaya Kayas kind of the perceived Dharmakaya. Dharmakaya's essence is like this itself is the Svavikaya or the unification space wisdoms. And then is the Dharmakaya itself is like kind of the radiant natural expressions. Itself is you can call the wisdom of radiant natural expressions. The original meaning of the word when we call the kaya in the Sanskrit, like a kind of the together, like a kind of the pipes is like a compounded. It's not compounded, but kind of the many together. What is the together? It's said to be that which is the 21 set of the many miraculous dharmas are the gathered together. Maybe you can to research this the Svavikaya, sensual nature. It is endowed Dharmakaya. And Dharmakaya itself is the natural radiant natural expressions. Why will you say the natural expressions of the Sambhogakaya, Namanikayas? Because it's why you call the Dharmakaya? Endowed kind of the essential nature, wisdom luminosity aspective. The endowment, 21 sets of the immaculate Dharma immaculate Dharma. Immaculate Dharma. And sometimes you can look in the dictionary, 21 categorize. Pretending "21 categorize, pretending to the time." This is too much title, too big. I don't want this one, you know. I want to say that the 21 categorize of undefiled wisdom. That is maybe Ronshon-ish. Probably is translated in Tibet, Same Yeshi Dense Nyerchiks. The 21 categorize of undefiled wisdom. Same is the undefiled, uncontaminated wisdom. 21 categorize of uncontaminated wisdom, you can also say. This is like kind of the position of the Dharmakayas. And also, this inside subtle deviation, subtle you can divide it. There are the 168 categorizations. And principle there is the 21 categorize of uncontaminated wisdom. 21 categorize uncontaminated wisdom, or 21 categorize undefiled wisdom, uncontaminated, like this. And that is like kind of the belonging or in doubt with Dharmakaya. This is kind of the 21 categorize of uncontaminated wisdoms. It is the intrinsic nature, beginningless. It's naturally spontaneous qualities of the Dharmakayas. And therefore we say it's like Buddha nature, or the essential nature itself has this kind of qualities. And this is, of course, and is like kind of the Savavikaya. Dharmakaya itself is the self omniscient wisdom's perspective. It is like kind of from the Buddha own point of the views. And then there the third kaya is you call the Sambhaka kaya, and Nirmanikaya are posited from the point of view of the other's benefit. They're like kind of the purity sentient being's perspective. It's a Sambhogakaya. Impurity sentient being's perspective is Namanikaya. That is the being distinct to be the benefit for through those things. Like kind of the type of the pure and impure. And some is like some pure beings' perspective. They can to see the appearances of the Sambhogakayas. And like a kind of the and itself the power of the Buddha's natural compassion expressions, or the like kind of enlightened prayers, or it is like kind of the accumulation meridas. And this kind of the Sambhogakayas itself is the great, like 10th level. This is the most Sambhogakayas. Sambhogakayas not really is like first, second levels. Last moment, the 10th level. There's one moment, there is a kind of the you become the enlightened. Then you can to keep in this level is like kind of the manifested Sambhogakaya levels. Like a kind of the endowed with the 5 certainties and connect to the 5 great perfections. Like a certainty of the place, Akanishta, and also certainty teacher. It is the Mahasangara Buddha, and also it's like the Dharma is certainty of the Dharma, great vehicle, and certainty of the entourage, and the 10th levels of the Bodhisattvas, and the certainty of the times, ever-evolving well of the self, in trinity of the times. And this is like essentially not permanent, and time never ceased. And then is the through this power or the prayer accumulations from the Sambhogakayas, those impure beings, and then is like and Namanikayas appeared, and there is a kind of the different type of Namanikayas for our like kind of the impurity sentient beings perspective. Superior Namanikaya manifestations. There is Namanikaya who is the manifested through birth. This is like kind of one type of the Namanikaya. It is like the superior Namanikaya is like Buddha Shakyamuni, extraordinary to showing the 12 deeds, wondrous, and birth Namanikaya who manifested like this, and then art, diversity kind of the and different like kind of arts Namanikaya. Then there is varieties of the Namanikaya. And this sort of like there is different 4 or 5, I think 4 or 5 something is like the Namanikayas. In the varieties of the Namanikayas is unpredictable things. According to the maturation of the Buddha's prayer or when you apply your own path, and according to your like kind of the enlightened activities, and any kind of can manifested food, cloth, mountain, shuttle, bridge, medicine, doctor, any kind of Namanikaya and the manifestations. And this Namanikaya, or the supreme Namanikaya, difficult to see the house. Only someone's reached to be in the great path of accumulation, or like 4 sessions of the conjunction paths that they can to meet. And others is like a kind of Namanikayas can to see, like the Namanikaya who is manifested through the birth, art, and varieties, other kind of varieties of the Namanikayas. For example, Buddha Shakyamuni, when he passed away, then Ananda was very sad. He said, Ananda, do not be sad. Ananda, do not lament it. When 500 years I have passed, I will return as spiritual friend. I act for your and others' sake. And therefore, and supreme spiritual masters, kind of the Namanikaya, who manifested through the birth. And in this perspective, there's many Namanikayas can't appear in this world. But this is like kind of very simple information. Time is over. Today there's no questions. We can stop there. Thank you very much your patience. If someone is like drink a lot of cream, and they put cream everywhere. This is also Namanikaya? Oh yes, okay. So nam the tam che zikpa nya thobni ni padana pamye. He ganan che walam tripa ya sapun chole do. Do wa yo kong li la we ko e shin kan la pan long ge wa ma len jong ni shin de mon tan tan. Ai jabe san di ba da tan jer ji padan la mi ke se tan ba tong kan yang yong la de hit jong wa tong do yan ma lu so so. Yad son ji sa lan go ba cho chi wa gan de yong da la ma tong da mi chu je pa la long xue ni sa dong lang je yang da da zo de da je jong go. Nier to ba cho o xiong chu san chu Rinpoche ma xi pa na xie je. Xi pa nian ba mi pa tong gong ni gong de pe ra xiu xiong chu san dong men er xie xiong chu xiu la yu wa dong song ji nang jiu. De ji li na pong wa xiu xiong chu san ba nam ji na zhe da tu la gong zhe xiong gong bo yin na gong gong. Sem chen nang lang ten jiu xiu sem chen tam che de dong ten jiu ji ngan zhe tam che da de dong wa xiu xiong chu san ba gong da sai. De da gan ji ma lang zhe ba xiu. Lasso, bon appétit. Okay. Then why you put cream in your head?